The silence in the king's suite was a suffocating, deliberate lie. Kael's knuckles were bone-white against the heavy, carved oak of his wheelchair arms. He hadn't moved in 20 minutes. His posture was painfully rigid. My muscles scream, he thought, but my tongue stays bound. A low fire crackled in the hearth. But its warmth didn't reach the cold weight settled in his chest. Truth be told, the forced stillness was a torment. He was doing this because he had no choice. Lord Valen was too close, too trusted to find the mole. Kael had to become an observer, a ghost in his own court. The smell of stale wine and wood polish hung in the air. Not only that, the air felt heavy with pity, and Kael hated pity. His eyes, sharp as winter ice, followed the movements of a nervous page named Torvin as the silence stretched. Kael watched Torvin falter near the hidden map chest. A familiar, corrosive surge of suspicion burned in Kael's gut. See how quickly loyalty crumbles? Kael believed, deep down, that isolation was the only true defense. What's worse, Torvin quickly stammered an apology about the dust. Kael didn't move. He couldn't. Despite that, the risk was immense. If the ore mine was compromised, Kael's reign would end in blood. Your Grace. A new voice cut through the tension. It was the head housekeeper, Mara, her tone dripping with sympathy. We have a replacement for young Alara, a small thing, but reliable. They say she starts today. Kael offered a barely perceptible tilt of his head. He heard the door open, followed by the soft sound of new, unfamiliar footsteps. These steps were silent. The new maid entered the suite. Her eyes, the color of moss after a long rain, moved quickly, absorbing the room's layout. She didn't look at Kael with pity. Instead, she looked at him like he was a large, expensive obstacle. She curtsied low. Raina. She murmured. Her voice was quiet, stripped of emotion. Kael felt a chilling prickle of primal instinct. This girl, this maid, moved like a scout. He gripped the oak tighter, because this was a disruption. Who are you, little mouse, and why are you not afraid? Come morning, the next day, the suite felt subtly different. More importantly, Raina had rearranged the antique furniture. She had blocked the fastest exit. Kael watched, rigid as stone, as she began her cleaning routine. She began tracing the edges of the room. She approached his massive bed without warning. She gave it a quiet shove, pushing it 6 inches closer to the thick stone wall. She looked at Kael, her gaze direct, analytical. She began to speak, her voice a low, continuous whisper, intended only for his ears. Your Grace, she murmured, the stone here is thickest. It offers the best cover. Your chair should be positioned here, near the hearth. The heat masks sound. Kael's jaw clenched. He wanted to roar at her, but he couldn't. Stay crippled, stay mute. Despite that, she continued her whispered analysis. Torvin, the page, he drinks too much. As a result, if there were an incident, that stairwell is useless for quick exit. To make things worse, Raina moved to the silver-plated footrest in the span of a breath. Her small hand dipped into the upholstery cushion and then quickly smoothed it back. What did she hide? But then, she continued speaking, revealing her true motive. My people, the Skylar, we fear the fighting. If you are weak, Volcar falls, and we are crushed in the middle because of that. Your safety is my pack's only future, Your Grace. Meanwhile, Kael was forced to sit and accept the silent intimacy of her tactical protection. The Watchtower fortress always felt colder after midnight. Just like that, Kael could almost feel Valen's predatory presence approaching. A low, guttural sound, not quite a growl, ripped through the silent room. Kael clenched his jaw, must maintain the mask and the echo of his voice. Raina stopped. She moved like a shadow to the mirror. The door creaked open. Lord Valen entered. Your Grace, Valen's voice boomed, thick with manufactured grief. The ore mine's location may have been compromised. Kael's heart skipped a beat. Valen was exaggerating. In fact, Valen was making the situation lethal. We must move you, Alpha, Valen continued instead. Valen nodded to his guards. Bring the stretcher. Raina stopped polishing the chess table. Her voice was soft, conversational, but it sliced through the tension. General Valen, she said, the stretcher will not fit through the door easily because of that. A hasty exit is a death trap. Valen turned, his gaze venomous. This is King's business, girl. Your place is silence. Without another word, Raina took an iron pawn from the chess, set the tension. Broke. Valen, distracted, stepped onto the loose floor panel. Thunk. But then, Kael executed the secondary test. He let his chin droop onto his chest, feigning a sudden seizure. "We must administer the serum." "No!" Valen shouted. "Serum?" This was pure escalation. Just like that, Kael realized Valen was the antagonist. Raina's voice snapped, sharp and clear. "The king has no serum." With a single glance, Raina grabbed the fire poker. She slammed the hot iron against the nearest guard's armored shoulder. Clang. The guard roared in the quiet that followed. Valen paused, fury contorting his face. Valen sneered. "Very well, Your Grace, but be warned. The danger is real." Valen left as the wind shifted. Kael sat perfectly still. He had learned the truth. Valen was actively moving against him, but he had also learned that Raina wasn't just observing. She was willing to fight for him. The intimate silence lasted only a beat. Later, Kael swallowed hard. He took a deep, agonizing breath. Then Kael spoke. "Pick it up, Raina." The two words, deep, resonant, and utterly uncrippled, split the tense air. Her heart skipped a furious beat. She didn't know what scared her more. Kael leveraged his core strength. Leaning forward, "Turn around," he commanded. His voice now a dangerous rumble, now as if summoned. Raina obeyed. "You are not a maid, Raina of Skylar. Because of that, I know your intention was to assess my weakness. I am not weak, and you have failed your mission." Her voice trembled slightly. "My mission was to ensure Skylar's survival." "And what information did you gather?" Kael challenged. As the truth unraveled, "You proved my greatest fear was correct. My closest advisor is a traitor. You also proved you are the only one in this fortress who saw the attack coming." He offered the ultimatum. "Help me expose Valen, and I guarantee your pack's safety. Refuse, and you die as a spy. Our partnership begins now." Raina calculated the odds. She felt it clear as day. The terrifying, solid alpha energy. Because of that, what is the true secret Valen seeks? Kael dropped to a conspiratorial murmur. "The secret is that the Volcar ore mine is the only site where we can extract lichronite, a rare metal that cancels the effects of silver. Valen intends to sell lichronite to the enemy." Raina's eyes widened in genuine horror. "I accept the partnership, Your Grace," Raina said, resolve hardening her voice. "I protect Volcar because Volcar protects Skylar. Do we understand each other?" Kael permitted a minuscule, almost feral smile. "Perfectly, Scout Raina." The air thickened with the smell of old parchment and the faint, woody scent of Raina's skin between them. Something cracked. A silent, understanding Raina leaned over the map table, sketching the false map. The coordinates point to the Whispering Pass. It's steep, heavily guarded, and worthless because of that. If Valen takes his men there, he confirms his treason. Not only that, Kael realized his heightened senses were hyper-focused on her. She is a spy, she is a weapon, she is not a mate. But then a heavy fist hammered on the door. "General Valen demands immediate access to the king's charts." In the span of a breath, Raina knelt by the wheelchair. Her fingers brushed against the taut muscles of his thigh. Fire bloomed beneath her skin. A shocking heat. She grabbed the obsidian throwing knife and concealed it. Valen strode in, suspicious. What was the maid doing near his grace? Raina dropped a perfect, subservient curtsy. "I was checking his grace's bandages, General." Her voice trembled only slightly to make things worse. Valen hissed. "I hear rumors that certain members of the domestic staff have been interfering with military matters. Do you understand, little mouse?" Kael felt a possessive snarl rising. Raina met Valen's gaze, unflinching. "Perfectly, General." Meanwhile, Raina slipped the map into Kael's sleeve. Valen had a leather pouch under his tunic. Raina whispered, her scent close. It had the seal of the Shadow Pack. As the air thickened, I also smelled old iron and brine. He came directly from the coastal armory. This was the midpoint shift. He's preparing to move the lichronite. Kael breathed. The trap must be sprung tonight. We move to counter his actions before come morning. The air in the servants' tunnels was thick with grease and cold. Damp stone. Raina moved through the darkness like a wisp of smoke. She felt it clear as day. The powerful pulse of danger. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't silence the Alpha King's voice. "If you are caught, I cannot save you." But then a wave of dizzying heat washed over her. She didn't know what scared her more. Without warning, she placed the parchment into an empty dispatch tube on Goran's desk. Moments later, Goran returned. He unrolled the map, his eyes widening. The Whispering Pass. Valen was right. Meanwhile, Kael sat in agonizing stillness. His alpha instincts were a howling storm of anxiety. Even so, the realization hit him. His disguise was no longer a shield, it was a shackle in that moment. Kael made his commitment. He would end the lie. He would use his true strength to break Valen. The second Raina was safely back, he heard the faint sound of the latch turning as if fate demanded it. She emerged from the shaft, her face pale. "It is done, Your Grace," she whispered. Kael threw the wheelchair aside. He reached out a hand that asked for an alliance built on truth. But then, she looked into his eyes, the eyes of an alpha. She took his hand as fire bloomed beneath her skin. The primal energy of their connection surged, undeniable. The intimate silence lasted only a beat later. Without warning, the stone fortress seemed to shudder. A chilling, mechanical siren began to wail. As the wind shifted, Kael tore his hand from Raina's grasp. Her world tilted. Kael threw himself from the wheelchair. Crash. Kael was standing. He was radiating raw alpha fury. "Raina, the back maintenance shaft, go. Rally the loyalists." Kael commanded that instead of leaving, Raina grabbed the obsidian knife. "I am not leaving you, we will fight together." But then, the heavy oak door burst inward. Lord Valen stood there, the iron alpha walks. "Treason. Seize the traitor." What followed was a brutal, contained skirmish. Kael fought with the power of a beast finally released. Meanwhile, Raina fought with terrifying efficiency, yet they were overwhelmed. "Stop her." Valen shrieked, "She knows too much. Bring her to me alive." As the sky darkened outside, a massive guard tackled Raina. This was the fear he had run from. As the echo faded of the metal clanking, Kael felt the sharp, bitter taste of failure. The guards dragged her out of the doorframe before she could move or Kael could break free. She was gone by the time Kael stood alone in the wrecked suite. His deepest wound was internal. Deep down, he knew the truth. Valen hadn't just seized the archives. He had seized Kael's tactical heart. The air was sharp and cold. Kael scrambled through a hidden passage, no longer the king, but a scarred, desperate warrior. Isolation is death, alliance is survival. Because of that, Kael made for the temporary camp of the Skylar pack, Raina's people. Meanwhile, Raina was locked in the fortress's cold, dark interrogation chamber. "The false map, little spy," Valen hissed, "tell me the truth, and I spare your pack." Her soul answered his silence. She would not break. "The map is correct, General." Raina whispered, the whispering pass. "Your fear is making you paranoid." Kael found the Skylar camp before either could speak. Kael dropped his sword, kneeling on one knee, an act of profound humility. "I need your strength, Elder Jorin," Kael said, his voice raw. "Raina, your scout, is Valen's prisoner." "Not only that. Valen intends to use the Lichronite to ignite a war." As the truth unraveled, Kael laid bare his strategic failure. "Help me retake the fortress, save Raina, and end Valen. I guarantee Skylar's permanent protection." Jorin accepted with a single glance. Kael gathered the strongest Skylar warriors. "We move before dusk, as if fate demanded it. We use the darkness to reclaim what is ours." As the sky darkened, the two-pronged assault began. With his scent in the air, Kael felt the sharp, intoxicating surge of Raina's proximity. Her bones remembered him. The air thickened with a metallic, sharp scent. "Ambush." Kael roared. He shifted instantly into a magnificent, half-formed Leaken state. A growl rose in his throat, primal and guttural. What followed was a lightning-fast fight. Moments later, Kael reached the dungeon cell. He found Raina. "Kael," she gasped. "Valen is not at the main gate because of that. He only left a distraction." Kael smashed the lock as the bond pulsed. He lifted her into his arms. "Where, Scout?" he demanded. Raina pointed. "The coastal armory. He's using the armory to smuggle the Lichronite out by sea to the Shadow Pack." Kael, now running, carried Raina as they burst toward the armory. "Valen." Kael's alpha roar shook the stone walls. Valen turned, sneering. "To make things worse, I have the Lichronite, Alpha." Kael didn't fight Valen's sword. He fought Valen's deception. "You will never touch this kingdom." Kael roared. Kael fought with unleashed, strategic desperation. Valen fell, defeated. In the quiet that followed, Kael looked immediately for Raina. "It's all here, Your Grace," she said, her voice firm. Kael walked toward her. Between them, something cracked. "You saved my kingdom." "Scout Raina," Kael said, his voice deep, strained. "You taught me that trust is not a risk. It is the ultimate weapon." As fire bloomed beneath her skin, Raina looked into his eyes. Their kiss was fierce, desperate, and sealing a connection forged in fire. The fighting ceased before dawn. The tension broke come morning. Kael sat in the Alpha's chair. Beside him stood Raina. Dressed as a chief scout, he turned to her because of that. The success of this counter-coup rests entirely on the competence and courage of Scout Raina. "She is my most trusted strategist." But then, Kael smiled. A true, easy Alpha smile, this time as if pulled by a string. Kael publicly ratified the new alliance with the Skylar Pack that night. Kael and Raina found a new quiet intimacy. "I am stronger because of that alliance we made in the dark," Kael whispered, pulling her closer. "I was afraid of losing control." As fire bloomed beneath her skin, Raina looked into his eyes. "I never trusted the king. Kael, I trusted the man who whispered strategy and fought for his people, even when he couldn't move." 6 months later, Kael stood on the ramparts. With every step he took, Kael turned to greet Raina. "The northern wall needs reinforcement here," Raina said, pointing to a minuscule fissure, a minor flaw. Kael took the piece of iron from her hand. "You always find the flaws, Scout. Only so we can fix them," Raina corrected. Smiling, Kael wrapped his arm around her. "I used to think my power was in concealing my flaws. Now I know it is in sharing the burden." He gazed out over the kingdom. "I need you to keep checking the walls, Raina, inside and out." Raina settled against his strong side. "Always, Your Grace." The silence is over now. We build. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more epic werewolf romance audiobooks.